Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Right after the kind of got things going with the new year, we decided to do sort of a visioning sort of workshop to kind of look at some things that are, identify some areas that are that we ought to be focusing our efforts on in the coming year. One of these efforts has to do with downtown, Main Street, and the square. We're talking about that. We'll be talking about that to more a little bit later in the meeting. But what I wanted to do tonight is I wanted to tell you about a little day trip that Brett and Mark and I went on today. We went down to 25th Street in Ogden, and I'm not alone in this. I thought of this, but I think several other people also thought of it independently. But if you go down to 25th Street, it's kind of cool, and they've got shops and they've got lots of things going on, and it's an inviting place. And one time I thought, gosh, Main Street, the historic Main Street, kind of is like a little bit like that in a way. And so we went down there and we visited 25th Street, walked up and down the length of it, and then had something to eat. But in doing so, what we sort of talked about, now this is just sort of just talking, and just envisioning something for Tremont and that kind of thing. And so what we kind of talked about was the shops and the restaurants and the different things going on down there. But we also talked a little bit about, or noticed it was kind of cool to see how the shops were taken care of, the awnings and all of the different things that sort of just gave it a certain flavor, and it was really inviting. And so, I don't know, Rhett, do you want to share kind of your thoughts on that a little bit and what you kind of gained from it?
Well, I walked in and talked to one store owner that had moved there 35 years ago, and they said that they're constantly busy. It's been a wonderful environment. It's safe. And then walking inside each one of the buildings, I noticed too that they did a really good job of updating, if you will, or making it look nostalgic. But they weren't the old buildings. They actually went through the remodel work of making their buildings look nice. Someone told me that if you fix the outside of the facade of a building, people will naturally go in and start fixing the inside of the building. And I think we saw that pretty well everywhere we went. We even saw a vintage store, if you will, along there, and they had their pawn shops. But there was one Great Harvest that was on there, and they said that they're just busy during lunchtime with all the people that come in and eat. And it was just, I loved it. And their sidewalk was so inviting to walk down. It wasn't crowded. It was really inviting.
When we we walked up and down there, I just felt really good about it too. And I kind of watched people. They were I think a lot of people. There's a business district. If you know 25th Street very well, there's a business district right on Washington, and the federal buildings right there. And so it's different than what we have, obviously, but we, I think there's something there that we can learn from the square, or learn from the Main Street, and maybe what we can do. One of the things that we intend to do here is look at organizing a committee made up of residents, veterans, merchants, the Kiwanis Club, different people around town. So we're going to make up this committee, and what we want to do is we want to sort of look at maybe more than just look at the whole picture for Main Street and what we can do to revitalize it. One thing we talked a little bit about in our going up and down Main Street, or going up and down 25th Street, is the facades and what we can maybe do to help merchants maybe with their facades, because like Brett was saying, if we can fix up the outsides and maybe the rest of it will kind of follow. Many of you who have ever sold a home and used a realtor, you probably have heard the realtor say something about curb appeal. And, that's kind of the idea here, is to increase or improve the curb appeal of downtown. Mark, did you have anything to kind of add to that, or?
Yeah, I enjoyed the trip down there as well. We first stopped and then walked through Washington Square, where they have their holiday event. They have, it's a lot bigger. The scale of 25th Street is probably, I don't know, 3 times bigger than what Tremont and Main Street would be. And it has the business district. It has the people that live around it. It has kind of what a Main Street would need to thrive. But what I liked is, it had that gathering area, and then it was 4 blocks of the old buildings, and they had what did we decide, about 20 feet from the lot line of the building to the curb to play with, for their sidewalk, trees, lights, planters. I tested out a couple spots on our Main Street when I got back, and we have about, 12? It was 10 to 12 feet that we have on our Main Street. And so, we're 8 feet skinnier, and they also have the angled parking, which allows for more parking. So there are some natural obstacles that are going to differentiate us from there. But I think bottom line is we could do a lot to help the business owners on Main Street clean up the fronts, clean up the sidewalk, maybe with the overhead power going away and putting it under, getting some water, pressurized waters for planters and lights, and just try to make it a better atmosphere and better feel for our residents.
Yeah, good. Well, I just wanted to kind of report on that. I know I've got quite a bit. I believe what we'll do is we'll have a little more discussion later in the meeting here tonight. But I just wanted to take the opportunity to share this idea and mostly share, when we had Councilmember Holt had a public meeting on the 6th, I think it was. And Brett and I had the opportunity of attending that meeting with many other people. And, as we were listening, there were lots of comments about, Main Street. And I think most everybody there, if not everybody there, recognized that something needed to be done to our Main Street area. And the question mark was, what do we do? That was more the question mark. There was lots of different ideas, but there was no consensus. And so that, again, is sort of the purpose of this committee. We want to involve a good cross-section of the community in this, and so we're looking forward to that. For those of you who are in attendance, I'm going to try to let you take some time, Brett, and then we've got a little time to talk about the county-wide or the county water master plan. But we want to break for just maybe 10 minutes for a closed session. So when we get done with the water master plan for the county, we'll break for a little bit. The council will go into a closed session, and we have some things to discuss there that have to do with with some of our staff. So anyway, with that, Brett, you want to take some time?
Yeah. Let's see if we can do this. So it's this pod. Oh, yeah. 2816. Okay, so something I've been looking at is, by law, we have to do public notices, okay, and we do. We follow that pretty strictly. Part of our public notices, if you look at it, is the purpose of public notices to prevent official actions from occurring in secret. So since the first, democracy and transparency and open government. As I've been studying this, it seems to me that we have two areas that we're talking about here. One is public notices, the other is public correlation or committees, if you will. So one thing I'd like to see us do is, on our public notices, do whatever we can to try to get those out so people can see them. I think that's one of our problems. I know they're easily available on the website and whatnot, but if we have something coming up that's going to public notice and needs a hearing, it would be nice if people are driving by or doing something in their everyday travel or whatnot, that they can see, oh, here, this is what they're going to be talking about in this. I have an interest in this. I'm going to go and listen and or participate in that meeting. I have an idea. Something I'd like us to consider is, I've talked to one of the local businesses that have one of these huge LED signs. And what I'd like to do for like 6 months is test that out and put our public notices on that, so that when people drive by, they'll be able to see it. Now, naturally, we're not going to hijack their business sign, but it will come up once in a while, and if they give us permission to do it, I think that'd be a great start to test the water on this and see if a digital publication of our public notices will help people to feel more informed. If it works, then I'd like to move towards putting up our own board that will be pretty well dedicated to communicating with the public and doing public notices. So, and then the only other thing I really wanted to talk about tonight was, I'd like to see us as a city staff, if you will, redefine our standards on at what point do we involve the public in what kind of projects, because there's some things that can just go by, that it's everyday business. But then there's some things that are projects that I think the public, well, not think, I know the public has a right to be involved. And I'd like to get them involved in that process much earlier than later. And so I think we need to go through and kind of define that standard or that process a little better. When an ordinance or some projects being considered, what's going to be the trigger to say, oh, this is an item that we need to go through and bring to the public, get public input, listen to the public, and then use some of that input to move forward with that project or whatever we're doing. And so that's kind of where I'm at on this right now. And so for the next, probably during the next 2 weeks before our next meeting, I'll put together some ideas on that, and then we can talk a little bit more about it and see if we can define a standard. And I'd appreciate any input from city staff or any other council person. If they have some input on that, that would be nice.
Oh, I think that's good.
Okay?
Thanks, Brett.
I guess I would be interested to hear from maybe, from the public right now, if they're, because hindsight's 20/20, right? And we know Midland Square, we didn't get enough public input. So that's an obvious one that's punching us right in the face. But what are some other real life examples of things that the public feels that we didn't reach out and get this public input early on in the process? And felt like it was more of a, swept under the rug, or however you want to call it. So that's something that.
So we can open it up, can't we?
Here.
For the public? Yeah. Anyone have any comments? What kind of things is it you feel are very necessary to hear about prior to a lot of action being taken on it?
Developments.
Okay?
I mean, it's kind of been a very, very quiet hush thing. I think the developments would be, anytime you're open and honest and not in secret rooms, I think people look at you with a different light. I mean, it's inviting rather than hush, 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 hush until, like Mark says, everything blows up in your face because there's no communication. I just think that the developments would be a great thing. Anything that you really think is going to affect the public needs, has a right to know.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but the problem is if hopefully they get on and read about things, but if we do everything, well, it'll just drag out forever. You know what I mean? There's some things that are just normal process,
There are some.
Yeah, and so developments,
I mean, normal day-to-day stuff, I don't know. But there's been a lot that should have been out there that hasn't been.
Like what?
What's them things? That's what we're looking for.
Oh my goodness, I could go back in my notes and I can stack this high of stuff that, the public would have liked to have been involved in.
The public or you or the few people that wanted to know?
No, Wes,
No, I'm being honest.
the public. They don't come here because of the way they're treated. And we have been called the mob, we've been called horrible names, and we know it. And it slides off my back because I really don't give a rat's backside. But the public would like to know what's going on in their own community that they live in that's going to directly affect them. Like all the building affected us because our taxes went up 50%. Even though we kept asking, are you going to raise our taxes? And the answer was always, no, I don't think so. Relatively speaking, no. But they did go up. Anything that's going to directly affect the public has a right to have it put out in front of them. Then they can decide for themselves, do I want to say something? Do I not want to say something? Do I want to care or do I not want to care? But right now, I'm going to throw it out there, Midland Square.
I know.
Hush, hush. Yes, it was a one line on the city council agenda. But people just they don't come here because of the way they've been treated, and that's sad. We need to change that.
yeah, and I think that's what we're talking about here. How do we change that so that we don't get into that situation again?
I think you've
And-
got a great idea.
and-
Openness.
Yeah, and so where do we get, and if you can think of some, or if any of you talk to some people in the public in that, and they give you some answers on this, please get them to us, because it would be really important for us to understand. It'd be nice to be able to define
Yeah,
those things
exactly.
are.
Right.
I think you just said what I would have said is for the few public members that are here now, spread the word. And if you have ideas, share them with us, but encourage others also to share them with us soon, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we want to develop a standard that is totally transparent with the public so that they can be involved, and feel involved and feel heard, so.
It's like, does the public care about our talking about cemetery expansion, or do they just want a place to
Yeah,
bury somebody?
yeah, I don't know.
Them kind of things, I think we leave to department heads to say, it's gonna go this way, and if they come and say, well, I want the road to go that way, well,
No, I
it's
agree, they
gonna
don't
be
need
a
to.
fine line of what, everything the public we get involved with. And
Yeah,
to our day-to-day duties.
right.
Isn't that why you have this meeting? If the public's here, you can't come here and talk. Don't you guys publish the agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's online, correct?
it's all online.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you want to get involved, they have the opportunity already.
Well, they do. Yeah, there is the opportunity there.
And then this digital thing of getting it out in front of them so they can read it will help, I think.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Except the people that stop and read it, like at the fairground, just like honk, honk, go moving.
We'll keep it really short. So anyway, thank you. Thank you.
talk, Brett.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Brett, for putting that together.
I'll shut this off. If I can figure it out.
Last summer, I was invited to participate in a growing water smart workshop over to Utah State University. There were people from all over, well, pretty much northern Utah mostly, but they're all over from different parts of the state as well. Communities that joined together to talk about ways that we could be more water smart, that we could be better at, putting together a water master plan, which is something the state is requiring all of us to, all communities, all counties, to work on. And so what we're going to do is, what we did was we sort of came up with this plan for Box Elder County. And in that plan, we decided, sort of the idea was, our water is important to us. And if you look at some of the demographic information that is being put up by organizations like the Kim Gardner Institute and others with Utah State or University of Utah, they look at growth for Utah, and it's very significant, and it's coming. We don't get to decide whether or not we want growth. Growth is going to come, and so people are finding that they like Utah. They want to move to Utah. They like the atmosphere. We have a lot of things going for us, and so people are moving into the state. And Box Elder County is not exempt from that. We're going to grow as well. And the key is, how do we do it, and do it smart, and do it responsibly? And that is the purpose of not only for the city to put together a master plan for water, which we are working on, and we've been working on now for some time, but also what I've got here is that, and I might just, a few highlights from that water master plan the city is putting together. About 91% of the respondents, we had a survey that went out a couple of years ago, a well-being survey put out by Utah State University. And in that well-being survey, it was asked what are some of the major concerns for Tree Mountain. And 91% this is 2022, 91% of the people, residents in Tree Mountain, expressed moderate to major concerns about the city's, supply of water. And so, the city council, we've been working on this for some time, and of course everybody knows about the secondary water, and we know about some of the other ways that we're doing to leverage our water supply. We have, we've purchased water shares. I don't know how many you know how many springs we have and how many wells we have, but Paul does a really good job of reporting to the gallon what those springs are producing and what we use every month in culinary and secondary water. And so we're doing a good job with that. We're looking at various options to, like I said, leverage that water supply. One of those areas is what they call an aquifer storage and recovery project, where we have a lot of water that comes from our springs, probably the single major source of water in the city comes out of Deweyville, and from springs over there that the city uses to provide a major part of their water from. Well, those springs run year-round. So like right now, that water is just running into the Bear River and down and away it goes. What if we could take that water and pump it year-round? So what we'd do is we'd reverse the flow of that extra water, put it up into a well and store it there, and then recover it in the summertime when demand is high. And it makes a lot of sense to do something like that. So that's one thing we're working on. And so there's several areas that we're working on in the city. Now, the county is not quite as far along. We're just getting started with that one. And so on April the 11th at 7 o'clock p.m. at the USU Brigham City campus we're going to be holding our first sort of kickoff meeting for the county master water plan. And the public is invited. We encourage you to be there, especially encourage the council members to be there. Here's the, because we want to have some input and like I said, the public is invited as well. Everybody is invited to come to this because we all have a stake in what's going on with the with this water plan. So hopefully what we can do is we can mesh the two plans together so they're kind of going down the same road and that kind of thing. So anyway, I just wanted to sort of take some time and share with everybody. Again, you're invited to come. This is a meeting where, water is important to everyone here. So we need to protect our water. If we don't protect it, somebody else will find a use for it. So that's kind of what I have there.
Mayor,
Yeah.
if I might. So I went to the opportunity to hear the 6 candidates for the county commission seat when the Republican women held their event here a week or two ago. And water is also very concerning to them as well, but they have a significantly different viewpoint of where the water should be and go. So just FYI, I assume you're already aware of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're not, one in particular specifically mentioned our secondary water system, not pleased. So just an FYI, I'm
Yeah,
not taking
well,
either side, just an
and,
FYI.
yeah, and I get that, and one of the sort of goals here for the county water master plan is to protect commercial agriculture, as growth comes, and if we're not careful with how we plan our growth, we're going to find ourselves with pockets of growth starting to pop up everywhere in the county. What we don't want to do is we want to protect commercial agriculture because it's in a major economic engine in the county, and probably the largest economic engine in the county. And so, but we got to be careful how we approach this, but we also have people with property rights. So I think what a lot of those candidates are saying is they're saying they want the canal system, the canal water, that to be used strictly for agriculture. The reality is that communities are going to be looking more and more toward Elwood as the next domino to fall. Elwood is going to be looking at the same thing that we've been looking at, and you got to realize that as growth is coming, we need to prepare for it. And those water shares are purchased. We have water shares just like the farmers have water shares, and we actually pay a premium for those water shares to the canal company. And so, what those water shares represent is agricultural land that has been taken out of production. All we're doing is keeping it on the land and repurposing the water. So, but I understand what you're saying. I get it.
Just an FYI.
Yeah, I get it, and I spent my entire career working with agriculture and dealing with this very situation. So, yeah, we get it. So, anyway, with that, why don't we, we'll go ahead and excuse the public for just a few minutes. Before we do so, I guess I need to ask if we can get a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion, we go into closed session.
Second.
Motion by Wes and seconded by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
We shouldn't be,
Do we?